so fun!
What's that?
Huh? You've never heard of Angry Birds? Are you serious? My daddy downloaded it for me.
Can I play?
No, ask your daddy to get you an iPad.
Oh, okay. Mommy, Daddy, Ian has an iPad with the game Angry Birds. He says that's really fun. Can you buy me an iPad?
Oh, Peter, I'm sorry, but we can't afford it.
But everyone has it at school. I want one too.
I'm sorry, son. We don't have enough money to get it. It's really expensive.
Ooh.
Looking at the first scene of the event, Ian seemed to be dominant as he possesses something that Peter does not possess. His reaction made him seem superior when he did not want to allow Peter to play the game Angry Birds on the iPad. This made Peter unhappy. To know that his parents were not financially capable to buy him an iPad added on to Peter's discontentment. This resulted to Peter feeling othered. And at the same time, he was able to tolerate the fact that he cannot own an iPad due to his parents' lack of financial capability. According to Hoffart 2006, the zone of difference is the gap of social-economic status. The higher-class people and the lower-class people exist at the same time. Eventually, the result of tolerance benefits the dominant group, whereas the minority may feel objectified. Now looking at the situation, how does this affect one's self-esteem? In the event, Ian's reaction and the tone used towards Peter when he found out that Peter has never heard of Angry Birds on the iPad relates to materialism, as Ian seemed to be proud of the fact that he has an iPad with the game Angry Birds and made a big deal about Peter not having one. Hence, Peter's self-esteem was rather affected. This is supported by Chaplin and John as they advocate that peer influence is a factor that encourages materialism in children and adolescents, for which yields their influence by affecting self-esteem. Now, how is this event relevant to young children, to be specific, the K2 level? Reality check. Based on an article in the UK in 2007, poor children living in affluent areas are bullied by better-off peers. This is based on a study of hardship backed by the Prime Minister Gordon Brown and launched by the Chancellor. According to the article, it warns that material deprivation also brings anxiety, frustration, and sadness to children. One 8-year-old girl was afraid her baby sister could die because the family struggled to afford food. Children as young as 5 blamed themselves for their parents' stress and hid their own needs and wishes, or even lent money given to them by other family members. Hence, we know that this is an issue and it should be taken seriously as it can affect the community in time, causing a wider gap between the rich and the poor. This can definitely affect one's self-esteem, as mentioned. Material deprivation brings anxiety, frustration, and sadness to children. So, how do we go about this? To mediate the difference between the rich and the poor, educators need to make young children realize the need to bridge this gap. Now, as we go along, you will see teaching strategies that are feasible to be implemented in order to mediate this difference.
Ian owned an iPad and didn't want to share with Peter. Peter was being ordered. So, do you know any ways to deal with this? Yes, I've read that cooperative learning can mediate difference among young children. In our group, the teacher can show video or images of children from different socioeconomic backgrounds. From there, the teacher asks reflective questions to boost the feelings of empathy. Referring to the book Beginning and Beyond 7th edition by Jordan and Brown, it states that children who can distinguish among different emotions and have some experience in taking the perspective of others by observing the feelings develop empathy.
As children express their thoughts, feelings, and ideas with their peers and teacher in regards to the images and videos shown, they will learn from each other, for which will also enable the teacher to assess the children's understanding based on the event.
one of the activities that can be implemented in the classroom in order to mediate difference between the rich and the poor, for which can affect one's self-esteem, is through storytelling activity. For instance, storybooks like The Prince and the Pauper by an English language novel by American author Mark Twain, which is about two boys who look alike from entirely different backgrounds, decides to switch their clothes, which results to a switch of treatment given by family and people around. The moral of the story? We must be happy on what we are or what we have in life. As an extension activity, the children can role-play the story with prompts. They can switch roles and create their own story based on the main story. The teacher can help to facilitate the children by posing questions like, what would you do if you see a boy with torn clothes? Would you still play with him? Etc. This will help children create the script and roles, and from there, the children can act out ways they think that are positive to react in such a scenario. This way, children will not only learn good values, but they will also learn positive social skills, like sharing, turn-taking, and appropriate social behaviors. By doing this, children can actually get engaged and learn the positive values while having a good time, as according to Piaget's pre-operational stage, for which the child begins to use mental representation to understand and learn about the world. For example, using mental representation which is beyond the connection of sensory information with physical action.
Using comic strips like the comic clip earlier is another method, similar to storytelling and using movies as methods. The teacher can simply cut out child-friendly comic strips from the newspaper or create her own comic strip to teach children good values and that we should not discriminate people whether they are rich or poor.
As an alternative in regards to storytelling, is teaching children good values through movies. For instance, The Prince and the Pauper. The Prince and the Pauper have been published in many versions like The Mickey Mouse Prince and Pauper, Princess and Pauper Barbie Show, and many more. Movie is considered a type of visual scaffolding. According to research, visual scaffolding used to complement animated sequences would serve to emphasize the critical attributes to be learned, thereby reducing the cognitive load. Hence, this will enable learners to process information more effectively. After the movie, a small circle time can be implemented to allow open discussion with regards to movie scene. Open-ended questions can be posed like, what do you understand from the movie? How would you feel if you were in the prince's shoe? From this, children can do creative writing activity based on the lesson learned, thoughts on the story, and suggestions to eliminate the negativity in the story.
Children can have field trip to orphanages, having fun activities like art and craft, music and movement, nursery rhymes and more with the orphans. This field trip may help children to create and deepen their understanding of difference between the rich and the poor. Through this visual experience, children will learn to be empathetic towards the less privileged and will be more grateful for what they have. According to Katz and Chart, it is important for young children to get engaged in ways that deepen their understanding for their own experience and environment. Hence, children will reflect on their visitation through open discussions, creative writing, and many more as to compare their current lives with others. This way, there will be in-depth understanding of situations with regards to their own lives and their level of understanding can be better assessed. The potential of this field trip is the whole for children's critical engagement to activities in the orphanage, so that they can experience the different classes and at the same time it will indirectly build values within the sense of self to accept people of the different class. This may also help reduce discrimination among children later in the community.
When children are able to understand the different lifestyles of people, that some people are fortunate and some are not, they would be able to identify the values and apply them through these cooperative learning methods that were mentioned, which would lead to peer acceptance, and materialism can be diminished. bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. Giving children a sense of self-worth and accomplishment seems to be quite an effective antidote to the development of materialism. Hence, one's self-esteem can be better improved. Now we have seen that materialism can lead to damaging one's self-esteem. Nurturing good values can mediate this difference. So why not nurture now? After all, it is not too late.